Okay, so hi, I'm Nikki, your host, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. At Eleve Academy, we're not just offering another education system, but we're working to redefine what education can be. We believe that the current system doesn't always provide opportunities and flexibilities like that today's students need. That's why we're building a whole new, completely different high school curriculum, one that's free, accessible, and redesigned to help students succeed in a world that's constantly changing. Our curriculum is more than just a set of lessons. It's a pathway for high school students to get a diploma that's customized and designed to nurture creativity, critical thinking, and real world skills. But we're not just stopping there. We want to make sure that this curriculum meets global standards, which is why we're getting approval from recognized educational bodies like College Board. But as with many big ideas, we can't do it alone. This is where you come in. We're looking for passionate collaborators to help us develop this curriculum and bring it to life for students everywhere. If you're interested in helping it shape the future of education, we'd love to hear from you and tell you more about how you can get involved. Now, someone who embodies this type of education and dedication and excellence that we aspire to inspire in all of our students, I'm thrilled to introduce you, Siya, an outstanding student who has been recently accepted into Harvard University, a remarkable achievement that speaks to her hard work and dedication to her studies. Today, we'll be diving into Siya's journey, the challenges she's faced, the mindset she's adopted, and the lessons she learned along the way. We also explore how students can use her experiences, skills, and resilience to overcome obstacles, as Siya has done. Whether you're an aspiring student or someone passionate about educational change, her story is one you don't want to miss. Okay, so we will begin the questioning now. Do you have any
Okay.
questions so far?
No, not really.
Okay, so getting into Harvard is an incredible achievement. Can you walk us through the process? What were some of your biggest challenges you faced during the application process?
So definitely you want to have your essays nailed down, but I will tell you, this is probably something people won't tell you is you don't want to spend too much time on your essays where they become mellowed down and they
Mm,
become average. Essentially, when you have too many people look over your essays, and this is what happened to some of mine, and I had to go back and take out the advice people gave me, is that you don't want your essays to reflect everyone. You want your essays to reflect you. So when you are writing, make sure that you don't have any sort of specific structure in your head. You write to represent yourself, and that any structure can represent you. So you don't always have to be like, oh, I need to start off with a hook. I need to talk about trauma. I need to talk about my sport.
mm,
Like you can talk about anything that represents you. Um, and this is really specific, but like a good thing that helped me was you have to ask yourself like who you are
mm.
outside of your achievements and then have your essays answer that because your achievements are kind of already shown on your Common App. So you want to show through your essays more of like your personality, your character, and they want to see that like you can handle their hard curriculum and that you're going to take all the opportunities they offer, like not just the academic ones.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I heard it's really hard to click submit on those essays. You just keep wanting to change it. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. They sat for a long time, but you have to trust your gut. I mean,
Mm.
you have to trust your gut.
So I looked over your resume. There was like a lot there. So I was wondering what your approach was to balancing academics, extracurricular activities, and your personal life. Like, how do you manage your time and priorities?
Well, I would say one, I really, really enjoy the things I do. So I will say this is a mistake I made earlier on in high school is don't take on things that you won't enjoy or things that you don't want to like capitalize off of. So I spend a lot of time on organic chemistry. I spend a lot of time
Oh,
on projects.
oh no.
It's like it's like yes, it's a lot of work, but I truly enjoy it. Another thing is a lot of my people try to like separate their personal life and like their friend group from like their career, which I think is it's hard. I mean, most of my friends, my support group, my inner circle are like also like other ambitious people and like people who have things going on, people who might be like interested in STEM as well. And it doesn't have to be STEM, but I just think that surrounding yourself with the right people is so important because there will always be someone who tells you like, "Oh, you don't have to study for the test. You don't have to do that project. It's lame. Don't be a sweat."
Mm.
And just don't surround yourself with those people because yeah, they're amazing and they're fun. But at the end of the day, your support group needs to help you and needs to like support your ambitions at the end of the day.
So you really believe that the people around you shape who you are?
Yes, definitely. I mean, if because they were so lenient, you know,
Mm.
like they know what's going on and I know what's going on in their life and it's a heavy workload.
Yeah. Were there any specific moments or experiences during high school that shaped your path towards Harvard that made you realize what your passion was?
Um, so there was two moments. I used to be an MIT girl all the way,
Mm.
all through. So
Wow.
MIT was my dream school, but I ended up finding that Harvard, it just because I also really like public speaking. I'm into
Mm.
like political science. I'm into like having my own business start. I noticed that Harvard helps support that more. But so the way I found out, um, for any sophomores out there, you can apply for this junior year. It's a program called Might Semester
Mm.
and it's great. I mean, that definitely it changed everything. I wanted to be a pre-med major. I
Mm.
was all onto like becoming a doctor, and then I go to my semester, I'm learning from professors, I'm meeting these new kids, I'm learning about like research and like all these new fields outside of just being a doctor. And I realized how much I like STEM and
Mm.
bioengineering, and I realized just how much I like business. So, um, yeah, try to, you won't ever know because I found out late what I was into and like what school I
Mm.
wanted. So try to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. I mean, my parents always told me I was going to be a doctor, but
Mm.
you can't accept that. You have to push yourself outside of the comfort zone to really know.
Yeah, that's really great. I'm glad you did that because I bet you're going to be, well, really great someday. Okay. So, as someone who has navigated the competitive college application process, what advice would you give to students that might be feeling overwhelmed or unsure about their future?
Well, I actually have a lot of specifics that I tell to a lot of people.
Mm.
One is to develop a passion project.
Mm.
So oftentimes what I've noticed, and I noticed this in a lot of competitive schools. My school is not competitive, so I never felt the pressure to do this. But in competitive schools, people who are trying to get into Ivies will overpad their application and their resume with lots of clubs, presidencies, leadership, lots of just things. But you need to develop those. So I have a lot less. I mean, I have one presidency. I'm in like two clubs. I'm not in a lot of things, but the things that you do have to really reflect you. All the work that you do reflects you. So if you put on your resume that, oh, I'm the president of 8 different things, but then you don't show any impact, that like hurts you
Mm.
negatively. So for people who are worried, don't compare yourself to others and don't try to over pad your resume. What you're doing is enough, but whatever you're doing, develop it more. So it's like if you like art, show what you're doing to develop art. You know, if
Mm.
you like science, show what you're doing to develop science. You don't need to have research. I didn't have research until later on. You can have any sort of project with the resources around you. A little example of that. So I never got into any sort of research program or I didn't have like a mentorship because like my area it's a little harder. That's not really a thing. So I just like started building something on my own, like at home with the resources I had, and like a 3 to 4 hour time commitment every day, and like that shows your commitment on your application. Just the little things that you do at home. So that's what I would say.
That's really great. So, next question. At Eleve Academy, we aim to provide a personalized and flexible curriculum. How do you think a thing like Eleve Academy would help impact your academic journey?
Well, I do think that as I mean, your teachers, your curriculum, your school impact you so much. And my school, we're a football school. We're by no means an
Mm.
academic school. So I can probably say I learned a lot of my stuff like online through Khan Academy, through like YouTube videos and stuff. But I never had that mentorship that maybe I wish I had from my teachers. So I think that Eleve Academy, I mean, that's great for students who are like looking to learn more or looking for that teacher mentorship or looking for that like extra help from academics. It's a great thing because I know for schools that aren't STEM heavy or academic heavy, it's such a big disadvantage for students.
Yeah, I really relate. I went to one of those football focused schools my freshman year. I know what
Yeah.
that's like. Okay, so what's your opinion on the current education system? Do you think it's meeting the needs of students today? And do you see areas for improvement?
Um, Actually, I have a strong opinion on this. I was talking about this with one of my friends. No, the education system is not meeting our needs. And I can tell this from my school. My school, my district, we rarely ever send anyone to an Ivy League, let alone
Mm,
Harvard. Like my whole district has maybe three, four Ivy kids. And I've noticed just the lack of effort. I mean, also with AP Classroom and College Board, translating that difficult material from a teacher to a student, I've seen it's not as effective.
mm,
My school's math scores are going down. People aren't taking academics as more seriously. And I feel like there's also a less emphasis on the education, on like the education system and how important it is, and like revamping it. Because maybe it's my school, I don't know, but I've noticed, especially lots of public schools, it puts you at such a disadvantage to go to a public school that is smaller and does not care about education because the regulations and the curriculum, it's just not emphasized anymore. Like I've noticed like teachers teaching things that they themselves don't understand, or schools putting a low standard and
mm.
letting people fly by with a below national average score on the ACTs, things like that. Your grades don't define you, your scores don't define you, but they do set you up for success or failure later on. And schools not relating the importance of education, that's essentially what it's doing to kids, is they don't realize the potential they have, and the school isn't really helping them realize it either.
So you went to a public high school, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard when students around you like think it's be like cool to be dumb, right? To not do work. Like, is that
Yeah.
does it make it hard for you to stay motivated at times? Because for me, I genuinely relate to that.
Yes, I mean, especially so freshman and sophomore year, that definitely affected me. I just think it comes down to like the student and maturity. But if you are a freshman or sophomore and you're in high school, that affects you and it affects you negatively. And I mean, I'm glad that like the people around me and the programs I was in like helped me change that mindset and realize that like I need to work for myself and I can't let the culture in the high school affect me in a negative way. But I have noticed that, and it hurts a lot of people. I mean, I've talked to friends who like have had great potential, but then they stop trying because it's seen as like, oh, she's a sweat.
Mm, yeah. So for example, if there was a student at your school and they came up to you and they were, well, in high school, they were like, I have a similar path to you. I want to go to Harvard. What skills or habits would you tell them it's like important for them to develop?
Okay, that's a good question. So, first, I would tell them like work ethic.
Mm,
Some people are just naturally gifted. They put down their head, they absorb everything. And I mean, that worked for me for a little bit until you get to harder courses like organic chemistry, physics, AP Bio, you get A push, like that was
oh
also bad.
no.
You need to develop your work ethic because Harvard does look for work ethic. Also, you have to show like you are a wide, like a variety person. Harvard looks for leadership. So you can't just be like, I'm an academic person, I'll only focus on academics. You have to make sure that you're showing how you're going to impact others with the academics. Like once you get an education, one of the essay questions is, what are you going to do with your education? And you have to show that in not only your essays, but like in your resume as well of what you've been doing with your skills and how you've been developing those skills. So if I had to tell you anything specific, first thing, you want to start developing a skill that is applicable to many different fields. So for me, I picked writing, and writing is so important. Writing goes into marketing and business, something that I'm also interested in. So I started developing that. I created a project around that to grow that skill. And it doesn't have to be writing, it can be computer science, it can be business, it can be finance, but pick a skill that is applicable to many fields and develop that. Harvard likes seeing that. Um, and pick a passion project. Preferably start it junior year. If you don't start it junior year, if you're a junior and you're watching this, start it the summer of junior year. Don't waste your summers. They're very important. Do not waste your summers. Start a project with any resources you have. I mean, I didn't have funding, so I used
Mm,
like local 3D printers at my libraries, but you have to start a project and it has to reflect your skills. You want to make sure that you're putting the best into it. And even if that means you're losing a little bit of sleep or you have to miss out on a vacation, that's fine. Um, Also, they like to see course rigor. So I know like not all schools offer AP courses. I mean, thankfully mine does, but I know places that don't. So you want to show that somehow like you're either doing dual enrollment with another college and try to level up on classes that way, or try to self-study them and take the AP exam that way, or learn it through Khan Academy. I mean, that's
Mhm.
what I did, and it works. But make sure that you are showing that you're taking an initiative in your education and that you're not just taking the classes that the school offers you. You're going out of your way to take more courses. So those are definitely like the first three things I would tell you to do. And then from there, like it's easy to kind of find out what your pathway is and then like find your way.
So, did you have a project?
Yes, so I have two.
Mhm.
I started them summer of junior year. That's why I'm
Mhm.
telling you to start at junior year so you have more time. For the writing one, I started a thing called Neuro Nuggets. So initially what I did is I would just, I mean, I like science a lot. And like at my high school, if you talk about it, like it's just not a thing. And oftentimes like I'd be talking about it and no one's listening or they don't understand. So I would write about science and it would be just like a science article explaining some discovery in regenerative medicine or bioengineering in about 1,000 words. And then I'd write it well and I'd publish it on my Medium page. It's like a publication website. Um, and then after I started growing that and like I had multiple articles going, I had a few readers, then I mean, of course, I like leadership. I like to grow things. So I made it into a little initiative called Neuro Nuggets where I then bring on other science writers. And so right now I have about 70 science writers. I have my own like program server and everything going, and I help them improve their writing skills and like build their science knowledge along with me, and I help them get published on my page. So that's something I was doing, and I would say it's about like a 2 hour time commitment a day minimum because of all like the article editing and marketing. But my next one was more STEM based and technical, so you should have some sort of technical passion project as well, and I was building a wind turbine. It's a vertical axis wind turbine. So instead of spinning like this, it spins like this. And
Oh,
essentially, the ones in the market right now, they're like okay. So cities have like different wind patterns, and the ones on the market aren't good at like working in all the wind patterns. So the one I'm building, we like tested and studied all the current models using computational fluid dynamics. And then through that, we built our own model and we tested that and it works pretty good. But I need funding to actually get it built. So that's why I'm like 3D printing it with different libraries. But so I made a whole research paper for that. I'm competing in different competitions for it, trying to get funding. But like that was my other passion project because it uses so much like science, math, physics. So it like shows your technical skills.
now that you've been accepted into Harvard, what's next for you? Like, what do you hope to achieve during your time there?
So I do want to spend at least my first 2 years. They have a whole stem cell institute, and
Mhm.
I'm really interested in regenerative medicine. So essentially, that's like your body has stem cells, but the ones in your body right now aren't very efficient. But you can code them back into induced pluripotent stem cells, and they're like present when you're an embryo. And those stem cells have a lot of potential. You can cure anything, build anything with that. But this research is still being developed. So right now we can heal like small wounds with that, but we haven't been able to build like fully functioning organs, just like
Mhm.
tissue and grafts. So I want to work with the Stem Cell Institute specifically for like cardiac regeneration and help like code these stem cells back into effective cardiac cells, but then actually have it into a fully functioning heart organ. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but like that's the goal. I really like developmental and regenerative biology. So first years I want to work on that, but I don't only see myself in like the research sector. I'm working on starting a startup right now for my engineering project. Um, because we want to get it built, we want to like start selling it to cities. And Harvard has like a good like business tech venture startup program as well. So I'll be partnering with them and like hopefully getting that running. So
Okay, now that we've talked about your future, I would like to talk about your past. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self about education, applying to colleges, or just pursuing your passions?
Well, I would say that I should be more proud of like the things that I do enjoy instead of like trying to mellow them down or like fit in and not to compare yourself to others. That is like something that squashed my performance like freshman year, especially is like
Mm,
trying because it was a new high school I moved. So I tell myself like don't try to fit in with people who don't understand you or like who don't like aspects of you. Like if they don't like it, that's fine. If it's there and you like it, then you like continue working on what you like and find people that like you.
that's really great. Okay, well, before we wrap this up, is there any final piece of advice you'd like to share with our listeners, especially those who might be working towards a big goal like you?
Take out time for your essays. Your essays are very, very important. Tell your story and do not take yourself out of the running. My test scores are below average for Harvard. I have not
Mm,
done all the crazy things that like normal Harvard people normally do. You just want to show your story. The first thing that they look for is passion, and it's one of the most important things is passion and resilience. So no matter where you're at right now, if you're thinking about quitting something, if you're thinking about slowing your workload down. Don't do that. Push through. High school is the grind years.
mm.
And if you do that, like that's great. It's setting you up for success. And even if you don't get into Harvard, you don't get into any Ivy League, wherever you do land up, just make sure you're using the resources and you'll do great things.
Okay, well, one more question. What are your views about Eleve Academy?
Well, I mean, I think it's a great program. I do really like what you guys are doing, especially with education becoming I guess not accessible to everyone because of like their school or their teacher or their environment. I think this is a great thing and people should definitely get onto it because I know if I was in high school and this came out when I was a kid, like I definitely would.
Mm. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time here today. I
Of
really
course.
enjoyed talking to you. You had some really great things to say.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.